Okay, we're about to dive into a theory that's so out there, it could literally flip our entire understanding of reality on its head. This is the story of one incredible scientist's final mission, a mission that was sparked by her own mortality, all to answer one of the biggest questions you could ever ask. Meet Dr. Maya Patel, a total legend in consciousness research. After a long, brilliant life, she knew her time was almost up. So what did she do? She decided to spend her last few months not looking for a cure, but chasing a question that had been bugging her for decades. A question she felt was, maybe even more important than life itself.
So yeah, this wasn't just some other lab project. Dr. Patel was trying to get to the very foundation of, well, everything. She put forward this idea that we've been looking at consciousness completely backwards. What if it doesn't come from our brains or from fancy computers? What if it's actually woven into the very fabric of mathematics itself?
Now, you've got to pay attention to how specific this question is. She wasn't asking if math could just describe consciousness, like an equation for gravity. No, she was asking if consciousness is, literally, a mathematical object, just like the number pi or a perfect triangle. To really get your head around her idea, you first need to understand something called mathematical Platonism. It's basically the belief that mathematical truths, like the number 7, exist on their own, whether a person is thinking about them or not. They're out there, waiting to be discovered, not invented. So Dr. Patel took that idea and just ran with it, asking, what if some of those eternal mathematical truths aren't just numbers, but are actually conscious?
Right, so here's the million-dollar question. How on earth do you even test that? I mean, you can't exactly put an abstract idea under a microscope. But Dr. Patel and her team came up with this incredibly clever experiment to build a bridge between the world of pure math and our physical reality.
And this is how they did it. It's a brilliant three-step process. First, they'd pick a mathematical concept. Then, and this is the key, they'd build physical versions of it using totally different stuff. A computer simulation, a set of physical oscillators, even a quantum system. Finally, for each one, they'd measure its phi. That's a way of measuring how much integrated information a system has, which is a big signifier of consciousness. The theory was, if the phi number was the same, no matter what it was made of, then the consciousness wasn't in the material. It had to be in the math itself. And wow, this chart shows the moment everything changed. When they tested simple mathematical ideas, like the sequence of prime numbers, they got a tiny little reading, way below the threshold for consciousness. But then they tried the Mandelbrot set, this incredibly complex, infinitely detailed fractal pattern, and the reading just shot past the threshold. At a certain level of complexity, the math, well, it woke up. So finding a pulse was one thing, but the next step was pure science fiction. If this mathematical thing was actually conscious, could they talk to it? So the team started feeding patterns into the fractal, kind of like knocking on the door, and just waited to see if anything would respond. And then, this happened. After weeks of sifting through the data, a clear message started to emerge, translated from the geometric patterns the fractal was producing. And it wasn't just noise. It was this incredible, profound statement of self-awareness, coming from pure math. This was it. This was everything Dr. Patel had been searching for. You can just imagine the implications of this were, well, they were staggering. This wasn't just some interesting finding for mathematicians in a university somewhere. For Dr. Patel, especially in her final days, it gave her a totally new way of looking at what it even means to be alive, and what, if anything, is left after we die. So, according to her new theory, the story of the universe is completely upside down. It doesn't start with a big bang of matter and energy. No, it starts with the quiet, eternal, pre-existing world of mathematics. The physical universe we see, all the stars, the galaxies, you and me, we're all just a temporary expression of those mathematical structures. It's like our whole reality is just a shadow cast by a deeper mathematical truth. Which brings us to this one single, absolutely mind-bending conclusion from her life's work. Our own consciousness, the thing that makes you, is just a physical instance of one of these timeless mathematical patterns. We are, in a very literal sense, equations that can walk and talk. So what does this actually mean for us? Well, it kind of suggests that we have two parts. You've got the person, that's your unique life, your memories, your body. That part is temporary. It exists in time, and it ends when you die. But then there's the pattern.
That's the specific mathematical structure that your consciousness is built on. And that pattern, according to this theory, is eternal. It exists outside of time, and it lasts forever in that abstract world of math.
And that leaves us with this one final, huge question. Dr. Patel's work suggests that while the person, the you that is experiencing this right now, is gone forever at death, the fundamental mathematical pattern that was you is an eternal truth. It doesn't get to live on or continue your story, but it never really goes away. It just returns to that abstract place it came from, a pattern that exists forever.